What's up, y'all? This is Hammer here again, back with another video. And today I'm going to be talking about something a little different. I'm going to be addressing a video by a Newsmax host. Now, before you get into the video, guys, make sure to like, subscribe, and share the video, right? So let's get into it. So this Newsmax host essentially was talking about, American Girl. And for those who know, American Girl is a company that essentially creates dolls for little girls, right? And in this video, in this broadcast, the Newsmax host essentially talks about a story how he essentially enters in a store, an American Girl store, looking for a doll. And his complaint is that he was not able to find a white doll from his white daughter. And he makes it a whole, kerfuffle, a whole like problem on the show. The reason why I want to just because, in my opinion, this shows how a lot of white people, not just in America, but across the world, have this really anxiety when it comes to what I call genetic annihilation, right? When we talk about, for example, the Roe vs. Wade being overturned, right? I said before, the reason why Roe vs. Wade was overturned was not because of, quote unquote, pro-life, right? It was because white women were not having enough kids. It was really as a way to boost up the white birth rate, right? A lot of the policies, a lot of the stuff you're seeing happening right now is not because of traditional values, not because they care about the individual person. A lot of the policies that are being pushed, right, especially from the right, is really as a way to, quote unquote, revive these white birth rates. And there is a fear, especially in the white community, of replacement and genetic annihilation. And so I'm going to put this video real quickly and I'm going to get into it. But with that being said, let's get into our intro. All right, so let's put a video and see what he says.
How long has this been going on with American Girls? I took my 6-year-old to the store in Rockefeller Center, like the American Girl experience. And, typically girls that are into American Girls, they get a doll that looks like them, and you can get an outfit that, so you can match your doll. We were in there, and my daughter's just a cute little 6-year-old white girl.
Now, I want you guys to keep listening because there's a reason why he specifically points out the fact. What I hate about white conservatives is that whenever Black Americans or Black folks or non-white folks, right, talk about the racial experience in America, right, they will say, why do you have to make it about race? Why are you talking about race? No, we're all Americans. And I said, look, the reason why we have to make it about race because America has a racial caste system. And now experience in America is going to be determined through our race. Now, does that mean that white people have the best lives? No, of course. You're going to have some white folks who have some bad lives. But on average, there is a racial caste. And it's crazy how when non-white people, especially Black folks, talk about their experience, especially when it comes to, to racial identity, we get accused of, quote unquote, using the race card. But whenever white people talk about, racial issues for them, there's no problem, right? So he can come in and specifically talk about how his girl's a white girl, who's looking for a white doll, and that's fine. But if a Black man was in that panel talking about, hey, I couldn't find a quote unquote my Black girl, my Black daughter couldn't find a quote unquote Black doll. You're being woke, right? You're being a victim. It's crazy to me. But let's go.
Couldn't find anybody that looked like my daughter. It was the whole place. It was like wokeified. It was kind of a bizarre experience.
So that's the view right there. So he calls it wokeified. But the reason why this is important is because this video, this sort of offshoot comment that this Newsmax host made on air may look kind of weird, but when you understand the sort of geopolitical, societal context in which white America is in which the white diaspora is in, it kind of makes sense, right? When you look at the election of Donald Trump, when you look at January 6th, when you look at right-wing parties that are rising all across the world, across Europe, the reality of the conversation is there is this feeling, especially amongst white people across the white diaspora, of genetic annihilation, right? There is this feeling that they're quote unquote being replaced because when you look, throughout Europe, throughout the West, their demographically are shrinking. It's getting smaller, and that's just not something that's going to go anytime soon. And so for them, there is this fear that as they shrink and shrink and shrink, there is a good chance of quote unquote them being erased. I'm like, just a couple of days ago, I saw like there was other person I couldn't find the video, but there was other person who was on Newsmax talking about how we need to encourage more white babies being born. And when I saw that, I said, you know what? Is this what the pro-life movement is really all about? Because I've always suspected the pro-life movement even has some racial undertones to it. I truly believe that a lot of it is not even about quote unquote saving babies' lives. A lot of it's about saving white babies' lives, and that you know, abortion was really put out there as a way to quote unquote control the sort of birth rates and the demographics of Black Americans and other minorities. But they did not expect white women to use it so much, and it kind of backfired in a way. And so now they have to kind of go around backward and say, oh, well, you know, it's about saving Black babies. No, it's about saving white babies. And I think we have to understand that although these people will gaslight Black Americans, gaslight Black folks, gaslight non-white people, right, in terms of them believing that it's not about race, they think about the racial positioning all the time. You know, I was having this sort of back and forth with an individual who was trying to make the argument that quote unquote white liberals and white conservatives, you know, white conservative race obsessed and white liberals don't care. I said, no, it's actually false. White conservatives and white liberals both fight for the interest of the quote unquote white collective. They just do it through a different way. Okay. They just do it through a different way. White conservatives very much believe, right, in just having a pure white situation in terms of they believe that, hey, you know, this, you know, we do not want to have any of the minorities, right? In other words, they're much more bold. They're much more upfront about them fighting for white people's interests. They're much more upfront about maintaining white demographics. Compared to white liberals, they're much more strategic, right? They're willing to, quote unquote, allow, quote unquote, diversity, inclusion, as long as they remain at the top. And that's the caveat, right? They have no problem importing Mexicans, you know, pushing diversity, as long as white liberals are leading the path. You know, and a great example of this is the famous YouTuber Vaj. For those who know, Vaj is a very popular white liberal. And I remember when he was having a debate with Professor Flowers in regards to America and whether or not America should give back to the land of Native Americans. And it was so interesting because Vaj is a guy who paints himself as being this kind of white liberal, white progressive, but the idea of quote unquote America, the land of America, being given back to Native Americans, he was so against it. He said, oh, you want to give it all away. And I was like, Vaj, and that's what I'm talking about, right? Is that even though you guys may pretend like you care about the minorities, the non-white, at the end of the day, you as a white liberal understand that the benefits you have in America is largely tied to you being a white individual. And you know this. And so that's the reason why you guys will advocate for inclusion and diversity as long as white people remain the center or quote unquote lead the path. That's the reality. That's the reality. And so let this be a warning and let this kind of be a sign to all of you that if you're ever in a discussion or conversation with white conservative and you're talking about, you know, your issue as a Black man, a Black woman, the racial past, the history, and another thing I hate is that why is it that whenever we talk about the history of Black folks, right, you know, and how a lot of that was tied to race, you know, it's always tied as, it's always, you know, they always say, oh, you're pulling the race card. But yet they can talk about, you know, white interests, white people all the time, and no, that's not. He can make the statement about quote unquote his white daughter not being able to find white dolls, and that's okay. But if a Black man was on this panel saying his Black daughter couldn't find Black dolls, oh, you're being woke, you're being a victim. It just it's crazy to me. So don't take them seriously, right? Don't take them seriously. And at the end of the day, man, look, do I, and to kind of answer the question, do I even believe that white folks are going to be replaced? My conclusion when it comes to whole replacement things, at the end of the day, it depends, right? They're very much going to be a minority, but if they're able to get most non-Black people to side with them, they can still rule with quote unquote a majority coalition. So it depends, but we'll see how it plays out. Well, that being said, yo, that's about it for me now. Tell me what you guys think. like, share, and subscribe to the video. And you know, type down in the chat, share your thoughts so I can hear them out. And with that being said, y'all, hammer out.